Hey everyone, it's Midnight Launch doing a special Halloween-style podcast here about scary gaming. I guess we should add the caveat at the hop. Myself, Darth CJ. I don't do well with scary things like scary movies, scary games, scary women. I just don't like being scared, so we're going to have a different perspective on this. Now, our new resident expert, Citizen Pain here, he loves that sort of stuff. He also knows more about independent games than I ever will, but whatever. So, what are some of your top scary games right now, Ping?
Well, I don't think there's been much coming out in the last couple of years. I mean, big standout for me in terms of horror games that have come out recently, and what I recommend everybody is Dead Space.
No.
Yes, you've already expressed your concern about that, but I think if anyone is looking for something to play this Halloween season and have a passing interest in sci-fi or something like that, I mean, the experience of you being alone on this ship where you don't know what's going on and all these creepy monsters are attacking you, the tension that it has, the control that it gives to the character, the ease that it plays compared to something like the old Resident Evil games or something, probably the number one pick for me.
I have a problem with, I played 13 minutes of Dead Space, and eventually I was like, no, I don't, if I want something scary, I'll turn on the news, and, you're going down these hallways that are, dark, sometimes no sound, and you're just and then I put in Call of Duty, and I feel a lot better, because at least I know where the commies are coming from, or, it's a bright jungle.
Well, and I mean, my thing was, I played a decent amount of the original Dead Space, and I just remembered the part where they're talking about the giant biomass, and you need to go over and check out that giant biomass, and I'm going, I'm good. I'm going to stay on this side of the door where it's safe.
What else have you got to do? Come on.
How can you look for the nearest airlock and vent yourself to space?
Yeah,
that's what I would do.
You know the thing I don't like about those games? It's with Bioshock and all of them. I don't know if Bioshock's that scary, but it's still got some scary parts. But
the original one was. The original one was, and that's because its predecessor, System Shock 2, was probably the scariest game that I played, just in terms of what's going on in the game and whatnot. And I really liked that game. That and Fear. Fear were the scary games that I played.
And it's sad that there aren't more scary games coming up, because I'm thinking back to some of the original consoles, like Nintendo, Super Nintendo. Remember Friday the 13th, where you'd have to, arbitrarily wander around and find Jason, who was indestructible. There was no scare in that.
The only fear I had about that game is that I would finally get to the point of wanting to throw my friggin' Nintendo out the window.
And you would injure
my mom or something like that. That was so frustrating. I mean, between that and Jaws on NES, those are probably the first
Jaws!
two.
That thing was one of the most... there was no algorithm to that. There was psychos behind that game who had, a randomized thing, Jaws pops out, you're dead. Wait, what?
Yeah. So, you were scared when he showed up. It's is this going to be the time I got to kill this bastard? Oh, he killed me. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, and, so, with the 360 and the PS3, and to some extent the Wii, it's got the graphical processing, the ability to really take advantage of that scare tactic. But, I played Bioshock, and they're like, oh, you better go check this tube. And I'm like, you know what, I've checked the last 4 fucking tubes. It's your turn to crawl down there where the monsters are. I'll stay where it's safe. I'm really sick of it.
That's why I like Bioshock 2, though. And then a little bit disappointed, because you get to play a Big Daddy in Bioshock 2, which was kind of neat. But my disappointment with that is that you felt extremely weak as a Big Daddy. I remember fighting the Mr. Bubble ones, and it took you 5 minutes.
Are you sure this isn't an adult video you saw the other day?
Well, I think the key thing with the horror games is that atmosphere, and that's why Bioshock totally belongs on the list. I mean, it was going into this unfamiliar environment, there weird, creepy stuff going on. You're going through these, this bar that had some New Year's party and all these dead people and stuff like that.
The one that did it for me was the splicer she was singing to the baby carriage, and you get up to the baby carriage, and it's like a Magnum, and she was singing a lullaby to it, and that was creepy, and I liked that style.
There was one game, what was it, for the, I think it was for the Wii. It was a really cool idea. I'll give the Wii a lot of credit, because they really made a lot out of an inferior hardware. They made some decent games, but this one you only had a flashlight. And the Wii controller was a flashlight. That was all you had. You didn't have weapons or anything. You had to go on this and to me that would be terrifying. Could you imagine if you did a Silent Hill where all you had was a flashlight?
Was that Amnesia?
Amnesia's on the PC, I think. It's not on the Wii, but if you want to talk about the king of horror games, that's what everyone's touting as being one of the most terrifying, because all you get is a lantern. And that's it.
No Uzi?
Nothing. And there's no way to kill monsters, as far as I understand. All you can do is sneak past them.
Yeah.
And they're attracted to your light, so you can only use it at certain times.
Oh, hell no.
Oh, yeah. And
hell no.
If you're in the dark, so like if there's a monster, right, you turn off your lantern. The longer you're in the dark, you have an insanity meter that starts going higher. And the more insane you get, the more stuff you start hallucinating, whether it's a monster or not. And
Is this new?
I don't know how new it is.
Machine for Pigs just came out recently. So that's the newest one.
Okay.
There was another one that came out recently, and I don't remember what it was called, but essentially you kind of wake up in this insane asylum. And
it's called like Tuesday mornings.
and shockingly, all the patients are running loose, as you would expect from a horror insane asylum one. But the whole idea is that you get this camcorder, and it's got a night vision mode in it, and that's how you see around. That's it. And so you have to hide from...
No, man. House on Haunted Hill. I remember that shit. That empty gurney holding up the camera. They all look at her. No. So, I'm curious about this Amnesia.
Yeah.
Like, have you played it?
I haven't. I work with a guy.
Have you played it?
I've heard about it, but my PC sucks, so I haven't tried it out yet.
Yeah, I've heard about it as well. Never tried.
Well, the guy I talked to, he says he loves these type of games, but he plays this game specifically in like 15-minute increments because it's
that intense.
Stressful. Yeah.
See, I remember when Resident Evil 4 came out for Nintendo, and it was scary. And so I was living in Winnipeg. I was doing some theater shows out there. We were living in a hotel. And so it was like 2 a.m. I went downstairs, and the night clerk, the hotel's pretty much locked up. So he was in the lounge, with all the lights off, playing Resident Evil 4. And so him and I became friends. We sit there at like 3 a.m., all the lights off, in this hotel where you can hear every little creak, playing Resident Evil 4 in the dark. Man, that was the last time I have ever played a scary game at night in the dark. Because I'm like, whoa. I'm going back to my hotel room. Every light is on in there. I'm sleeping with a bat under the blanket. Some deadbolt at the door. If a fire breaks out, I am literally dead. Like, I have like 9 locks on the door.
There was one game that I played on the GameCube. And there is one system from Nintendo that I wish they had kept around, because I love the GameCube. It was called Eternal Darkness.
Yeah.
Sanity's Requiem.
Yeah.
That had the insanity meter in it as well, and that was really cool because they would mess with you while you're playing. I remember I had an insanity level really high, and I went to walk in one room, and the screen pops up saying that your memory card, back when you had to have memory cards in your console, had been corrupted, and it needed to format, and formatting commences in 3, 2, and you're going, no, and I'm scrambling to try and unplug the console so I don't lose all my other saves for this other game, and then the screen flashes, and you're back outside the door again.
Yeah, you're
like it would mess with you like
that. The game would pump
the
you.
Actual game?
Yeah.
That's mean.
It was amazing. Like, there were other times you
what sort of developer from hell was like, nah, it's really fun. Like, that is like you know what? I've had it with this company. Like, that is like...
But it was really funny for stuff like that, or you'd walk into the room and your head would just randomly explode.
Yeah, your limbs fall off.
Yeah, and then you would be ported back outside the door again.
Yeah.
But that was only if your insanity level was really high.
Yeah, and that was something that you could manage throughout the game, but if you weren't careful, and things like this could happen. But it was a really good playing game. The story was good. It had a lot of kind of like Cthulhu type ancient evil stuff going on.
It was a really well made game, and I miss it.
Yeah, no, that was good.
Are there any out now? Like, I'm trying to think of any game in the last year that's been reasonably scary.
Well, I think developers are lazy now. You're talking about all the capabilities these systems have, and they don't invest enough time in the atmosphere and design. They rely on graphics and that sort
of thing. Is it possibly because it's a bit of a niche market? That, like, your overall target for Call of Duty is almost anyone plays a first-person shooter, whereas scary ones, you're really narrowing it down.
Well, like, if you're going to talk first-person shooters that are kind of spooky, what about like the Left 4 Dead series, where they really put a lot of effort into trying to make it a cinematic, spooky
if that was so much a scary...
There was some scary...
Tension.
There was some definite... Tension. Like going through the cornfield and the witches?
Yeah, true enough.
Yeah, the
witches did it to me when you start hearing the sobbing and you're going, oh shit, where is she?
Or even worse, when you hear the tank music and you can't see the tank, and you're like, I know he's somewhere. I know. And actually, the randomization of that game, you make a great point, Dave, because the randomization was what really did it, where you could play the same level umpteen times, and the tank may be a different place, the witch may be a different place. Every creature, it's not a predictable algorithm.
Yeah. Well, and something that really made me feel in that game too is a sense of urgency. Like you never hang around like, oh, I wonder if there's something I can pick up over here in this corner, because if you hang around too long and they just spawn another whole huge wave of zombies and you're screwed.
You know, and that one, I really wish they do Left 4 Dead 3, because that was a series that I just adored.
And I think they've talked about it. I'm not sure what the latest news is on that.
Well, I think Valve's really invested in their console.
Yeah,
right?
it's their 8-year development cycle.
Yeah.
And everything.
And they're
Half-Life
teasing
3
about Half-Life
confirmed.
3, yeah.
Left 4 Dead 3 is a possibility. Half-Life 3 confirmed.
I mean, other games we've talked about, the two big series in the horror genres being Resident Evil and Silent Hill.
Isn't Resident Evil kind of moving more into an action
I think
genre
4
instead
started
of
that.
Yeah.
And
But like Silent Hill was terrifying.
The first couple Silent Hills, like best horror games, bar none. Like you talk about the tension of going around with a flashlight and stuff. When you're wandering around in that fog and all you hear is the static on the radio, means something's close, but you don't know what the hell it is.
That's when I stopped playing. Like officially, like I remember I bought it. The static went off.
Mm-hmm.
I turned off my console. I ejected it. I went back to EB Games and was like, I'd like to trade this in. They're like, you bought this 4 hours ago. And I'm like, don't tell me how to live my life, you asshole. What credit can I get on this game?
But that's kind of why I liked Fear. Because Fear had this good balance between spooky shit going on and all-out combat, Call of Duty style combat.
Mm.
And I liked the whole idea that it basically gave you a warning. Like your HUD would flicker and you would hear the static and you're like, okay, gotta man up. Something's gonna scare the shit out of me right now. And most of the time it wasn't terrifying. It was, you turn around and Alma was in your face kind of thing. But that was about it.
I'm vaguely remembering when they tried to respin Doom.
Oh yeah, Doom 3.
And that was horrible. Like I played it, I'm like, I get it.
Oh god,
there's a monster jumping at me.
When you
turn
go
around and shoot and you'll kill something.
Yeah.
Like at any given time.
When you wandered into the room and there was the shotgun sitting in the middle of the room with a single light shining down it, you're like, okay guys, I get it.
I know where this is headed.
Yeah, the character design and the lighting and stuff, the graphics were all good, but yeah, the gameplay was meh.
The only part that really scared me was you were in some booth and some creature came flying at the window, splintered the window, and then went crawling up, and you're going, okay, I don't want to fight that.
And actually, the ad for Gears of War, the initial one, I think it was in Gears of War 1, where he dives through that window and then all the lights go on the giant spider's eye.
Had the REM song going. Yeah.
No tomorrow.
Yeah.
I was like, dive back through the window. Go back. Whatever those things were aren't as bad.
Like Gears of War had a couple good. They never did like a whole one, but like. There were certain missions in that game that were really quite eerie. I remember there was one, I think it was in the second one, where you're going to a laboratory. Your car dies in the middle of nowhere, and they've got those emulsified wretches crawling all over the walls everywhere, and you're in some kind of creepy experimentation.
Yeah, no, I know the one you're talking about, and there were like the early stage ones that you had to basically burn them to kill them. Yeah, kind of idea. Yeah,
I have no recollection of I didn't play that game because of the multiplayer. When I played it at a LAN with you guys one time, and I'm like, okay, I've shot you for 10 seconds now. Oh look, your shields are down. Okay, I'm gonna keep shooting. So I never played the game, and I found it slow, especially because at that time I was on Call of Duty. So going to play Gears of War, it was just slow motion action. So I guess let's say what we think the scariest of all time is, and maybe some of our listeners can go out and play it before Halloween. Davezorz, scariest game of all time?
The Dead Space 2 demo for me.
You know it's good when you don't play the original.
You never even have to buy it to get the scare. Yeah.
Alright, Dead Space 2. Pain.
I've already said Dead Space 1, I think, has better tension. The 2 is really good too. I just think there was more tension for sure in the first one. My runner-up is XCOM Enemy Unknown, which isn't necessarily a horror-themed game, but it's the only game where I take a turn, bunch of enemies show up, and I go, oh fuck, I'm fucked. I'm not gonna get through this. Holy shit!
And you actually worry about your characters.
Yeah, you care when they die. There's some incentive for.
Why is this like the show Gamer? Like, did you have people in real life who you were attached to?
No, but when
you invest
your
so much
character
time
dies,
in your characters that if you lose a guy, it hurts you. Like,
and it's done. They're gone.
Yeah, it's permadeath. You can't get that
crap,
guy back.
dude, that's unforgiving.
He could have been like a 10 mission vet that had all these abilities and.
But that's why Chris Cluey did a whole thing about, send Private Molester in first instead of Sergeant Awesome. Sergeant Awesome has a wife and 3 kids at home. Private Molester,
Yeah. But,
goes so on and so forth, right?
Yeah. But I mention it just because, I play horror games, but I don't get scared by them. Like, I don't get jump scares. I'm a little creeped out. I'm more interested in the character design, how they create the moments in it and that sort of thing. But if you're looking for something that makes me, like, jump or upset or get.
It's
like
perma losing the character.
Fucking XCOM.
All right, Malthe.
System Shock 2, and they just re-released it on Steam, so you can they remastered it and whatnot. And that game scared me because there were they were kind of zombie characters in it. They were humans taken over by parasites. The parasites would take over the motor control, but the person still had vocal commands. So while these mutated things are running at you, swinging a pipe, you're hearing them go, "Run! Get away!" And stuff like that, and that scared me.
Oh, that just scared me, and it is daylight out.
That kind of stuff. There were lobotomized chimps or something like that would throw fireballs at you.
I've reported to a few of those like that.
But they would chitter and whatnot before you found them, and as soon as you heard that chittering, you'd be on edge, spinning the camera around, trying to figure out where they are before you start getting fireballs in the face.
All right, mine. It's a tie. First one is Silent Hill 2.
Good choice.
Yeah, no, like that's the one I took, but no.
It's the one to play out the series too.
Yeah, no, it was the scariest hour of my life. And the second one is Homefront, which came out for the 360. Because if you bought that and played that game, it is the scariest experience that you spent $60 on that game, and you will be.
I was burned by that.
Yeah, it was horrible. So that was terrifying. Yeah. So that's our Halloween special, and let us know what you think about some of the scariest games of all time and what we've omitted. Thanks a lot.